Hello everyone, and welcome to our podcast channel. Today, we are going to dive into a very hardcore Buddhist topic. Part I, Introduction. Practice is not just a feeling. It is a precise science. Many people think that spiritual practice is just finding a quiet place to sit or seeking psychological comfort to make life less exhausting. However, if you open volume 31 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Flower Adornment Sutra, you will discover that the Mahayana Bodhisattva's system of cultivation is actually an extremely precise and subtle engineering of cognition and rewriting. There is a profound passage in the sutra that describes the Bodhisattva's wisdom as extremely subtle Shenweixi. It states that a Bodhisattva can understand the subtle inclinations, life and death, categories, realms, behaviors, attachments, and mental preoccupations of all sentient beings. All these minute fluctuations are fully known within a single thought. Hearing this, you might think, what does this have to do with me? I don't want to be a Bodhisattva. I just want to live without being so tired. But as Master says, it is not that you just have it. It is that you must act this way to avoid exhaustion. Many people live in suffering because we make mistakes in every tiny detail, like a system running on bugged code, yet expecting it to operate smoothly. Today, we will dismantle how to use this micro-wisdom to reboot our lives. Part EI, Micro-wisdom. How precise is your mastery of causality? First, we must understand what micro-wisdom is. Master gives it a more intuitive name. Thus cited wisdom, 如实智, the wisdom of seeing things exactly as they are. We can use a computer as an analogy. If you are just a user, you only know how to click the mouse and look at the screen. If the computer crashes, you just slam the desk. But if you are a top-tier programmer or chip architect, you precisely master the function of every electronic component. You know exactly which line of code determines which output. Life is the same. Between a cause, the seed, and an effect, the result. The most critical factor is the condition, the environment, catalyst. Master says that if the condition varies even slightly, the result changes entirely. Bodhisattvas attain freedom in this world because they precisely know every micro step of how a phenomenon arises. The inclination of beings. Why do you suddenly want that big feast? Why do you want to lose your temper? There is a series of subtle driving forces behind these urges. The attachment of beings. How do you unconsciously grab onto a worry and refuse to let go? If you want to change your destiny, you cannot just pray for results. You must be like a developer creating a new generation of computers, actively changing the subtle hardware, the body, and the software, the mind. To truly change it, you must understand it subtly and precisely. If you don't even know where the error lies, your so-called effort is just stepping on the gas pedal while heading in the wrong direction. Part III, Great Compassion. The label of wrong views wrapped in sugar. In this sutra, a core point is mentioned, the Bodhisattva's initial resolve. Many practitioners think they have developed Bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. But Master reminds us, without great compassion, that mind is a facade. Where does great compassion come from? It arises from seeing the suffering of sentient beings. Suffering here doesn't just mean obvious poverty or hunger. It refers to the subtle delusion of mistaking suffering for pleasure. Master uses a fascinating analogy, labels and glue. Imagine a newborn baby. They have no preference for flavors. But as they grow, the environment constantly sticks labels on them. Sweet is good, bitter is bad. These labels are layered one over another, using the glue of karma, which is exceptionally strong. Eventually, you form a habit. You decide certain things are delicious and certain people are hateful. This is actually a wrong view. From a physiological perspective, as we research at Vita Choice, if you only eat what you think is good, you will end up with nutritional imbalances and a burdened body. Yet, sentient beings are stubborn, what Master calls obstinate, and difficult to transform. Micro-wisdom allows a bodhisattva to see exactly how these labels were stuck on you. They know that behind your hardened habits lies a chain of erroneous perceptions. Practice is the process of peeling off these labels. But the glue is sticky. You peel one layer, and there is another. Without this subtle awareness, you wouldn't even know you are living inside a pile of labels. Part IV, the degaussing experiment breaking the magnetic field of the 5 aggregates. Next, let us talk about the technical operation. Breaking through the 5 aggregates 5 skandhas. This is the most hardcore part. Master mentioned a vital quote. All the Buddha's wisdom is born from samadhi meditative concentration. The process of samadhi is actually a process of unloading and degaussing. Let's borrow a concept from physics. The basic structure of all things consists of molecules, atoms, and electrons. Electrons orbit the nucleus because of an attractive force, centripetal force, mental power. Our bodies, habits, and troubles are all magnetic fields condensed by this continuously succeeding mental power. Why practice samadhi? Samadhi is the brake for your life system. When your mind stops moving, you stop powering those delusions and desires. Like a motor, when the power is cut, it will still spin for a while due to inertia. This is residual karma, but it will gradually enter a state of decay. The phenomenon of degaussing. When you begin to break the form aggregate attachment to the physical body, your magnetic field changes. Master says you will discover innate supernatural powers, for instance, perceiving the world without eyes or hearing without ears. This isn't about gaining a new power. It's about a piece of mud karmic hindrance falling off your true self. Master describes our habitual afflictions as being as thick as city walls, heavy like reinforced concrete. Practice is like a person carrying a 100-pound bag of rice up a mountain path. Breaking the 5 aggregates is the act of continuously throwing away that rice. When you discard form, sensation, perception, and volition and finally drop the most subtle consciousness aggregate, you are completely unburdened. This is what the Shurangama Sutra calls the stage of dry wisdom, pure, unadulterated wisdom. At this point, your original wisdom and virtue of the Tathagata, which was suppressed, naturally manifests. Part B, the truth of initial resolve. Do you really want to help? Finally, let us return to real-world relationships and the Bodhisattva path. Many students ask Master, if beings are so obstinate, how can we help them? Master's answer is realistic and sober. If they cannot be transformed, just watch for now. This isn't coldness, it is true wisdom. If a person is trapped in powerful wrong views, believing that indulgence is salvation and that discipline is harm, trying to pull them forcefully will only cause them to create more negative karma through resistance. The Bodhisattva's strategy. Self-perfection. Master micro-wisdom first. If you are living in chaos and error yourself, what can you offer others? Wait for the moment, like Guanyin Bodhisattva. Observe when a being is ready or ripe to be guided. The right remedy, when they begin to trust and follow you. Use that intense fire of wisdom like the fire of the 6th patriarch Huining to melt the iron block of their ego. Master reminds us, suffering exists because we get it wrong at every micro point. If you find it too troublesome to deal with these subtleties, you will never attain ultimate peace. Part BI, conclusion. Transforming consciousness into wisdom. Today's sharing has been dense. Let us recap. First, wisdom lies in precision. Destiny is not mystery. It is a precise algorithm of cause, condition, and effect. To change the result, you must adjust the subtle conditions. Second, cognition dictates behavior. We are governed by layers of good-bad labels. Practice is using right view to peel them away. Third, subtraction is addition. Practice isn't about gaining. It is about degaussing and unloading. When you drop that 100-pound bag of attachment, your innate peace shines through like sunlight. As the Avatamsaka Sutra says, all sentient beings possess the wisdom and virtue of the Tathagata, but they cannot realize it due to their delusions and attachments. In your daily life, even in the second you feel anger or a craving, try using a bit of micro-wisdom to observe. What is the cause of this action? What is the condition? What kind of decay will it lead to? If you do that, you are already on the path to liberation. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Australia's Buddha's Path Association sharing on the Mahayana practice system. We hope this micro-wisdom helps you find the clarity and freedom that already belongs to you in this noisy world. See you next time.